Welcome to Skill Builder number 1, Getting Acquainted with ArcGIS Pro. To get started, you are going to create a new folder using your File Explorer here. You can create a folder on your desktop or in your Documents folder, wherever you prefer. I'm just going to go to my desktop, right-click, select New Folder, and I'm going to call it GIS1. Notice I don't use any spaces. Sometimes spaces in file path names can cause problems in ArcGIS Pro, so try not to use spaces in your naming conventions. So then we're going to create a new folder within this GIS1 folder that is called Skill Builders. And then I'm going to click into that folder and create one last folder, SB1. So I've got that new file folder structure on my desktop. Now I'm going to go to Blackboard, go to Unit 1, Week 1, Skill Builder, and I'm going to download some data. So it just downloaded a zipped file. I'm going to select Downloads. You can see I've downloaded it a couple times already. So now I'm just going to copy that zipped file folder from my downloads into that GIS1 folder I created. I'm going to put it into the SB1, and now I'm going to right click on it and select Extract All. It is going to extract this into a new folder within this SB1 folder. So did that. Now you can delete this zipped file. Now we are going to open up ArcGIS Pro by going to our Windows icon down here, going to ArcGIS, selecting Pro. Sometimes it takes a few seconds to open. When yours opens, it should look similar to this. You're not going to have any recent projects over here. What you're going to do to make your first map is select this blank map template here. We are going to name it. I'm going to name mine SB1_map, and then I'm going to navigate to that newly created folder on my desktop, Skill Builder SB1. So the folder that you want it to be in, which for me that is SB1, you're not going to open it, so you're not going to click on it. You're not going to double click on it. You're going to click on it one time. You'll see the name here, and you're going to click OK. Make sure that you leave this checked. You want to create a new folder for the project because it will help keep your data a little more organized. So click OK. So the first thing I want to point out is that your Pro might look a little bit different than mine. I have a few add-in tools that are added up here, and it's kind of hard to remove them, so I wasn't able to do that before recording this video. So ArcGIS Pro is structured similar to how the Microsoft Office products are organized. It has a ribbon structure. That's what this area up here is called, the ribbon. You have tabs within the ribbon. So you have your Map tab, Insert, Analysis, View, Edit, Imagery, Share. You guys should all have these tabs. You're not going to have ArcPro tools. That's an add-in that I added a few months ago. So within these tabs, we have groups. So this navigate is a group holding tools. So a tool would be like this explore button or this zoom to full extent button. So another group within the map tab is layer and selection. There are also panes in ArcGIS Pro. So the panes are usually on the side of your map. So this first pane on the left is the table of contents. Another pane that you'll have is the catalog pane. And then this middle part here is called a view. So you have panes on the left and right side, and then you have a view in the middle. And I'm going to close these out so that I can show you how to add them if they are not automatically popping up. So you're going to go into your View tab and find the Windows group. To add the table of contents on the left, you're going to select Contents. And then to add the catalog pane, you're going to select Catalog pane. If you select Catalog View, it pulls up in the middle part. So that's the difference. These on the side are panes, and then, so this is the catalog pane, and then this middle part is called a view. So now that you have your table of contents and your catalog pulled up, we are going to connect this map to some data. So to do that, you're going to go to the Insert tab, and we are going to connect a geodatabase, but you could also connect individual shapefiles using the Add folder. So click on Connections, select Database, Add Database, and you're going to navigate to that data folder that you downloaded in your skill builders. So it's this SB1_data.gdb, that's the geodatabase. That was the folder for it. This is the actual geodatabase. So once this name field is populated, you're good to go. You can click OK, and now you are connected. And we can find our data here under the project portion. The portal is going to connect us to online content, and we'll learn about that next week and in the rest of Unit 1. So to add data from this file geodatabase, you're going to be under project. This database tab will be closed. You're going to open database and navigate to the second one that is SB1_data. If I open this one, you'll see there's nothing in it. This first one was created as a part of the project that was created when you first opened Pro and you named it and you saved it into your skill builder folder. So anytime you create a project, it's automatically going to create a file geodatabase that is held within that project. Now, this file geodatabase that we just connected to is one that I made separately. So I basically exported data to a new geodatabase that I was then able to share with you guys. There's a couple ways to add data. You can just click and drag. You can see that that just added the polygon shapefile or layer for the county boundaries for the state of Arkansas. Another way to add data to your map is to right-click it and select Add to Current Map. So you can see the hospitals with Medicare, which is our point shapefile, was just added to the map. And then I'm going to drag and drop the water base, which is our line shapefile. Now that we have layers added to the map, we are going to explore ArcPro a little bit more. First, we're going to spend time in the table of contents, so that's the contents pane over on the left. You can do a lot in this pane. Most of the features available here affect the data layer directly, so you can right-click on these layers and pull up a lot of options. Whereas the features or tools that are available up here in this top ribbon usually affect how the layers interact with one another or how they display in the map view. Just like with Microsoft Office products, the layers, when they are selected, let me see if I can unselect one. I'm not really sure how, but once a layer is selected in the contents, you have new tabs that are made available that provide you ways to interact with that layer. So we'll use the Appearance tab in future skill builders, and this is how we're going to change symbology and add some transparency to different layers. It's pretty fun once we get into playing with that. The main way that the table of contents organizes data is through these different button options up here. What these do is they change the way that the data layers are organized in the table of contents. We're going to talk about the first 4, and we'll leave the last 2 for future skill builders if we even cover those. Okay, so this first one is pretty important, and it's probably the one that you're going to want to leave your layers on. It is called List by Drawing Order. By the way, to find the name of any of these tools or buttons in ArcPro, you just need to hover over it. So you can see a name and a short description. Same goes for most of them. Most of everything you can hover over and get a name and a short description. So this first one, list by drawing order, is going to change how the layers are displayed. So you see the first layer that I added to this map was the county boundary. And so it's the bottommost layer of these three that I added. However, if I move it to the top of this list, you can see that now you cannot see the water line layer or the hospital point layer because the county boundary is covering those layers because it is in the top of this list by drawing order. And then I can move the point layer on top, and now you can see the points above the polygon layer. However, because this line layer is below both of these, you can't really see it. So I'm going to move that up. This is really important, especially when you're adding data in. You're not always going to add it in the correct order. So sometimes you'll add like the boundary layer last, and then it will cover up all of your other data. Another thing you can do in the table of contents is unselect data. So like I can turn off this base map and only show the data from the file geodatabase. So please play around with drawing order and have fun with it. The next is list by data source. We probably won't use this a ton in this GIS1 class. This is more important when you're working in an enterprise database system, which has a lot of different data sources that are grouped by similar types. So you can see that it is, ignore these top two, these are relating to the base map that I have turned off right now. But you can see it is showing that all three of these layers came from the same file geodatabase. And so in an enterprise database system, you have many different file geodatabases within a larger enterprise system, that is when using this list by data source comes in handy. So the third option is list by selection. I'm pretty sure how this works. Yeah, so you see how I unchecked all of these, but they're still displaying in the map. So what this list by selection option does is it turns off layers to make them unselectable. So I'm going to turn all of them back on, and I'm going to go to the map tab and the selection group. I'm going to click the select button and just randomly select some stuff. So you can see I have county, polygon outlines are selected, as well as points, as well as water, the water lines. I'm going to clear this selection by clicking the clear button. And now while I am in the list by selection part of the table of contents, I'm going to unselect the water. Now I'm going to reselect some random ones, and you can see that none of the water features are selected. So if I move back to a different source and I turn that off, and I'm playing around with that, it's going to keep whatever I have chosen in this list by selection option. So if you're struggling with something and you can't get the data selected that you want, that might be an issue. You might want to check out the list by selection. So the fourth section is list by editing. This just shows the layers that you can edit, and I'm pretty sure it works the same way as the list by selection. I've never really used this option much, but that if you have it unselected, I wouldn't be able to edit it. I'm not going to do any editing right now. That's for future skill builders. So we'll probably use that option in Unit 2 or Unit 3. So again, to unselect stuff that you have selected, you use this little button up here. It's called the clear button. And you can select by rectangle, polygon. Today at work, I was selecting by polygon. It took me a while to figure out, but I got it. You can select by lasso. I've never used that before, but you guys can play around with this and see all the different silly ways that you can select data. And the last few things I'm going to talk about in this skill builder involve using a right click on a layer. So it's a little weird in my opinion, but you can get to a lot of really important stuff by right clicking on a layer. And in Pro, I don't know, this kind of scrolling pane is a bit weird, but you want to make sure you do that because down at the bottom is properties. And in properties, you can change the name of your layer, you can view some metadata, you can view the source. We'll talk about some of this stuff in future skill builders. So I'm going to right click again. I'm going to show you how this zoom to layer works. This is a good way if you are lost in the map and you're confused, see you're like super zoomed in, you're trying to explore. So you're trying to move the map around using this explore option and you just don't know where you are, what's going on. Right click on a layer and click zoom to layer. And if it's a layer that encompasses the entire extent of your map, it's going to zoom to that. So like I could have also clicked on county boundary and it would have zoomed to basically the same scale. So let me unselect that. So today I've shown you guys how to select features, but you can't really, like once you have that selected, you can't unselect it. The way to then pan around the map is by using this explore button. So don't worry about this drop down. You just want to click on that movement button right there and you get this nice little hand that lets you pan all around the map. You can zoom in and pan some more. So it works pretty well. I'm going to zoom back to this layer. And the last thing that I want to show everyone is attribute tables. And this is basically just an Excel table for your shapefile or for your layer. Be like mindful it's not actually an Excel table, but that's how Excel is the software that we've all used that has gotten us familiar with the concept of data tables. So you're going to right click on a layer and scroll up until you find attribute table. You'll click on it and it's going to pull up this table, and it might pull it up looking like this, or it might be popped out like this. You can change the shape and size of it. You can make it full screen, make it smaller. You can dock it in different locations. So play around with this a little bit, figure out where you think you might like to keep the table to view it. And so this table contains every record for hospitals with Medicare, and it has a number down here that tells you the total number of records. That's the total number of rows, or the total number of individual hospitals that have Medicare. And then you can see our geospatial aspect of this data is our X and our Y, as well as a column encoding what kind of geometry it has, which is point geometry. So here's the attribute data. We've got a field called user hospital. I haven't looked at the metadata for this exactly, so I'm not sure what that means. I guess it means name. We've got our address, our city, and our state. And let's see if there's anything else interesting in here. Not much, but we've got a lot of fields with a lot of good information in there, I'm sure, for people that are concerned about hospitals with Medicare. One last thing I thought I would show you guys is base maps. So you can see earlier I turned the base maps off and it might look a little funny, so I'm going to turn those back on. And then here in this layer group in the map tab, yours hopefully looks a little bigger. Mine's a bit crowded out by this ArcPro or this Xtools add-in. So find in your layer group base map and click on the drop-down menu, and you're going to have a ton of different options. So please play around with that and find ones that you like. And that is one of the questions in the assignment, is tell me the name of your favorite base map out of this list. And it can just be silly. Like, it's not a serious question about what is your favorite base map. However, a preferred base map for a lot of organizations is this light gray one because it provides a general outline, like reference of where you are in the country or in the world, but it doesn't distract you from the information on your map. All right, and with that, I am done showing you guys the basics of navigating ArcPro, and please don't hesitate to reach out to me if you have any questions. Thank you.